Hey loves, this is Bobby, another video. And this is going to be my November wrap-up video. I had an amazing month. Like, the first half of my month was phenomenal. Like, I didn't have any 3, 2, or 1-star books, and then I kind of hit a bit of a slump in the middle, and they came in a bit, but hey, it wasn't too bad. I read a total of 18 books. Yes, holy crap, 18 books. I had 1 DNF, 1 2-star, 2 3-star, 7 4-stars, and 7 5-stars. So yes, I had a great reading month. Like, holy crap. So as always, I don't, besides the actual star rated group, I don't put these in any particular order, except for the 5 stars. I tend to put, you know, my absolute favorite for the month near the end. So yes, let's get to this. First off though will be my first DNF of, I believe it was the year. I don't think I've had any DNF, so it kind of killed me to do it. I didn't want to do any DNF for it, but it couldn't be helped because I could not get into this book. And that is The Future of Another Timeline by Anali Newitz. This is like a punk rock feminist time traveling queer book. Everything I should love, and I just could not get into it. I didn't care for one of the characters very much. The kind of villain of this, you know, antagonist of the book was super paper cut, and you should have like hated the antagonists because they're like a group of incel gross men that want to change history so that women never get the right to vote and are kept, you know, basically as slaves the entire time. And you're like, hey, how can you like find that boring? Because you're gonna hate them. But the way it's written is they were so just cookie cutter, nothing fun about it. I made it to about the 40% mark. So this was 1 star, but it was the first DNF though, because I could not. Definitely a lot of people would like this, but as I put in the review, I felt like I was playing a game of feminist bingo where the author looked up pinpoints on how to be a feminist and then tried to shove as many of those points into like the first 10 pages alone, and it was not a fun book for me. I just didn't care for the characters, didn't care for the plot, just absolutely nothing about it was I digging. I heard one of this, because there's 2 timelines. We have one in 92 and one in 2022. Beth from 92, I was kind of interested in her, but Tessa from 2022, she's a time traveler, and I just did not care for that at all. I didn't want to read more, so yeah, DNF. The next one is my 1 2-star book, and this was originally a DNF, but it was the DNF I fully intended to finish, and I finally did, and it was my least favorite in the series so far. I don't know how I ended up. Can't tell you most of what happened in this book because I just did not care, and I was listening to the audiobook, and this is one of the few times where I zoned out most of the book because I just did not fucking care. And that is The Wizard and Glass by Stephen King. This is the 4th book in the Dark Tower series. I still want to finish the series 100%. Like, no doubt in my mind, I just could not get into this one. We follow Roland, who is the last gunslinger, going into his past. He's kind of like telling a story and stuff about his past and everything, and I just did not connect with it. I didn't want to know. I was already so hooked on what happened in the last book, The Wastelands, that I wanted more of that, and for us to just get thrown completely out of that and finding out more. We did learn quite a bit, you know, about what, you know, his world and him, but at the same time, I didn't care. So 2 stars, but I do plan on finishing the series. I think that might be the lowest book rating I've ever given a Stephen King book. All of his books I think have all been 4 or 5-star books. So yeah, that one kind of hurt my heart a little bit. So now up to the 3-star books for me. I was looking forward to both of these, especially this first one, so much, and I was let down, and it kills me. It kills me to give it such a low rating because of how anticipated it was for me and how many amazing things I hear about it. And that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is a queer kind of rom-com type of book, which usually are always like 4 or 5 stars for me because that alone just makes me happy. But there was just so many points in here that I didn't care for. We follow the story of 2 young men, Alex and Henry. Alex is the son of the first female president. He is also Mexican American, and we follow Henry, who is one of the crown princes of England, and they do not like each other. Like, they've just never cared for each other for whatever reason, and when we do find out that reason, you kind of understand it, but, you know, they just don't get along. They are at a royal wedding, and there is a mishap where it gets blown out of proportion, and they have to pretend to be best friends to kind of smooth things over so that, you know, we've got 2 of like the biggest countries in the world not feuding against each other, and they end up falling in love. But it is kept as a secret because Henry is basically not allowed to be gay because he's a prince, and Alex thought he was straight until he realized he was in love with Henry. Like I said, it's really cute, but when it comes to these kind of books, I feel like they shouldn't go over 300 pages because then they just kind of go in a circle and a circle and a circle, and I lose like focus on it. That was one of the things that happened. Also, there's a character in here who, honestly, I can't remember her name off the top of my head at this point, but I really, really did not like that character, and there was a scene in here with that character where I talked about it in the vlog where I talked about this book, and I did not care for that scene. It came off super gross for me and kind of problematic, and it was basically, well, I'm bi, so I have gaydar, so I've always kind of knew he was gay, but like they didn't even know the guy, so it came off super condescending and kind of gross, and I just didn't care for that. And like I said, I just felt like it went on too long. There was a lot of other little points that I just didn't care for that much. It was really cute. I did really love the main romance. I liked the ending and everything. There was just a lot of this, though, that I found kind of problematic for me and I didn't care for, so it went with 3 stars. Very, very bummed about it, but I do know this author is having another book coming out soon. I do plan on reading it. I did like her writing, like I said. It was just, a lot of things was just me. Like, a lot of people will disagree on what I didn't like, and that's perfectly fine. This is just my opinion. The next 3-star book that I had was We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. This is my 2nd book by Sean David Hutchinson. I really enjoy his writing. When it came to this one, though, this is one of those where I don't enjoy books where just bad things keep happening and happening and happening to a character because they're supposed to be learning a lesson. It doesn't sit well with me. Like, you're supposed to be a better person even though absolutely everything about your life is shit, and that is what happens in this. There is a lot of trigger warnings in this. Please look them up, but some of them are sexual assault. We've got a lot of homophobic language and stuff like that. Mentions of suicide, depression. There are a lot of triggers in this, so please look into it. But it is a very good book. We follow the story of a boy named Henry. I've been reading a lot of books with Henry lately. He lost his boyfriend to suicide, and he's kind of just depressed, and he lost his best friend as well. Once his boyfriend killed himself, their best friend just kind of shut down, and she kind of ignored Henry, and he didn't know why. Henry starts sleeping with one of the popular guys at school who's in the closet, refuses to come out, and honestly treats him like absolute garbage through the entire book. He is assaulted. He is sexually assaulted. There is a lot of, like I said, just very heavy things going in. I didn't know this was going to be such a heavy book because there is a fantastical element to this, is that Henry has been abducted by aliens for a good chunk of his life. And they give him the choice that if he pushes this big red button, then I believe it's if he pushes the button, the world won't end, but if he doesn't push it, then the world will end, and it's basically on his shoulders. And it's him living his life, this absolutely just horrible life, and trying to decide if, you know, the world deserves to keep going. Nobody believes him that he has been abducted or anything. And it's just a lot. Like I said, his family dynamic, I really hated the brother. He physically abuses Henry quite a bit. not even in the sense that it's just siblings, you know, being assholes to each other. Like, he takes it really, really far. And I don't know, at the end, you're supposed to think he's kind of a good guy, and I just, no. There were a lot of just no's for me in this one. So yeah, 3 stars. I do have more books by this author. I do plan on reading them. I do really enjoy his writing, as well as the fact that I think every book is queer, so yes. But yeah, it was another one I was really looking forward to that I was let down on, but it was just, that's a lot of just personal things for me that I don't like enjoy reading, but I took a chance and it didn't pan out. So now into better stances, we are into my 4-star books, which I said there are 7 of them. So yes, let's start off with the last one that I read, and that is The Stand by Stephen King. Not the best book to be reading this kind of year, but I've been reading a lot of pandemic books and I was fine. Like, I kind of liked it, but I was like at home when I read them. I read this one now that I'm back at work, and we are following a flu-like pandemic that is killing off most of the population, as well as a fight with good and evil and just so many different things going on. And let me tell you, I was listening to the audiobook and stuff, and I got really into this, and this is a very chunky boy. It doesn't look it, but this book is like over 800 pages. And this is the edited version. The unedited version, which is one that I was actually listening to, is a lot longer. And listening to this while in public, like on public transportation, was not fun. Like, anybody got within like the 6 feet of me, I was getting ready to like fight them, like, get away from me, because I'm freaking out. I was almost gonna have a panic attack. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. A lot of it felt like it could have been trimmed down a lot, which, funny enough, they released the uncut version because people felt like it should have been longer, and for me, it just, there was a lot of things that could have been left out in this book, like a lot. But it was great. I enjoy Stephen King. Like I said, it was crazy. It's just, I had a lot of feelings about that because it's just everything going on and me just kind of freaking out. So yeah. The next 4-star book I read was a graphic novel, and that is The Prince and the Dressmaker. I absolutely adored this. It was beautiful. We follow the story of a prince who also likes to dress up as a woman. He just, that's how he feels comfortable sometimes, and he doesn't really understand it, and he ends up hiring a dressmaker that makes these absolutely beautiful gowns for him and everything, and these costumes, and he goes out and becomes known as this very like fashionista type of like icon. And through the whole thing, he's also supposed to be training to take over for the throne. So this deals with a lot of kind of like identity issues and stuff like this, and he becomes very good friends and everything with his dressmaker. I absolutely loved everything about this. It was so beautiful. The artwork is absolutely gorgeous and colorful, and I could not get enough of it. Like, I loved it. This was, I think, like the first book that I read this month. I think it was. And I just wanted more. I can definitely see myself rereading it. It was just beautiful. I loved the ending. I loved everything about it. The next one, this was one of the highest like anticipated books for me, and I loved it. It was so good, and it like broke my heart at the same time, but in such a great way. And that is the Falling in Love Montage by Ciara Smith. This is another queer book. I tried to get in as many queer books as I could this month. That was kind of in November, that was like my big goal, and I think I did pretty well on it. We follow the story of 2 girls who meet. One of them has just broken up with her girlfriend not that long ago, and she's in a very kind of like not good space. She does not want to date anybody. I don't want to give out why. There are certain reasons why she doesn't. And when we do learn about that, like, it broke my heart, and it hit really close to home because I'm kind of dealing with that, with, you know, the reasons why in my own household. So it hit very hard. But she meets this other girl, and the other one, you know, she likes her. There's kind of this instant connection, but they decide that they're going to have a rom-com style romance where it's just the fun parts. Let's do the kind of cheesy dates and stuff like that. And at the end of the the summer, they're supposed to break up because they're both going their separate ways. I was not prepared for that ending, but throughout the whole thing, I really like it. It was really great. It was just really fun, but it was very hit you in the chest kind of at the same time. I just absolutely adored it. I will definitely be looking more from this author because her writing is amazing. I fell in love with both characters, and the more you kind of learn about everything that's going on, like I said, it hit a couple of personal notes, but at the same time, I just thought it was absolutely wonderful and queer, and just yes, 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 I can definitely see myself wanting to do a reread of this one. The next one, which funny enough, I gotta go out of order because this is part of a series that I read the second and the third book this month, and I loved it, but just not as much as the first two, and that is Heartstopper Volume 3. It got 4 stars, so yes, but Volume 1 and Volume 2, spoiler for Volume 2, was 5-star. This will be the first under 5-star from the series because 1 and 2 were 5, and I just really love this. We follow 2 boys, Nick and Charlie, and they are kind of getting to know each other and everything, and they eventually start falling in love with each other. Charlie is openly gay. Nick isn't quite sure. He's thought he was straight his whole life, but now he's realizing he might be bisexual, and I really enjoyed everything about them. This one just kind of felt like a little slower paced for me, and there was just a couple other things in it I just didn't care for as much. But I still really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait for more of this series. I just adore it so much. It's so sweet and just that cutesy, just makes you happy type of thing. This does deal with eating disorders, so please know that going in, as well as kind of like homophobic comments and stuff that can be made, but there's a lot of great representation and everything in this. I just really enjoyed the series. It's wonderful. I definitely recommend it to anybody if you're interested in it. It's definitely worth it. The next one, I had a hard time trying to come up with a rating for this one, just for the fact that I really liked it. If I kind of like sat down and thought about rating wise, because I originally went with 3 stars, but it doesn't deserve the 3 stars. So it's kind of like in between 3.5, 4 star. I went with 4 just for the fact that I didn't really have any complaints about it. It was just, I didn't connect with it as much as I thought I would, but I did really, really enjoy it. So this is like a really hard one. So 3.5, but I'm lumping it in with a 4 because the more I think about it, the more I did actually really just enjoy it. And that is Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. I have had this on my shelf for years. It was actually gifted to me years and years ago, and I just never got around to reading it for some freaking reason. And I finally, with all these queer books that I wanted to read, this was like the first one that I grabbed, and I'm like, I'm reading this. I'm finally gonna read it. And I did, and I really did enjoy it. I loved the relationship between Aristotle and Dante, and we follow them growing up. Aristotle's just kind of like a loner, doesn't really have, you know, too many friends or anything. He doesn't quite fit in for whatever reason, and then he meets Dante, and Dante is this everybody kind of loves him type of person, but he doesn't have that many connections with people, and we just kind of watch them grow up and, you know, how they change and what changes in their life and stuff like that. This has quite a few little sad parts in it, but nothing like major triggering or anything like that. I did really like it. Like I said, I just had a hard time reading this one because I loved it. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I don't have any complaints about it, so I just kind of in this weird kind of limbo on where to rate this one. The next 2 are actually graphic novels as well, because I got in between all the queer books. I kind of read like really weird graphic novels, and I went with horror for some fucking reason. I don't know. Don't ask. And that is Gaio by Junji Ito. This follows the story of these fish that climb out of the water and are walking around, and they smell disgusting, and it's crazy, and the artwork is like insane. I absolutely fell in love with Junji Ito. With Uzumaki was like top of the list for me. I wanted everything else by him, so I went with these other 2, and I loved it. This was great. It was total B horror. Like, it was hilarious and disgusting and just vile, and I was reading this while on public transportation, which, as you know, don't smell the best, so to be reading a book while talking about how disgusting everything smells and being around a bunch of very unpleasant smells kind of like worked together in a very horrible way, but I love this. Like I said, it's like a B horror movie, and I will definitely be rereading this because like I cracked up at the same time, like seeing these absolutely horrible, disgusting artwork that is just phenomenal, and reading these really just kind of like funniness to it. I couldn't get enough. Like, I am so glad that I got into Junji Ito. So to wrap up the 4 stars, I am going with Toni by Junji Ito. We follow the story of a girl, Toni, who men fall in love with her and get obsessed with her, and the only thing they want to do with this like heightened obsession is they want to kill her and chop her up. Yes. And it is crazy. I almost went with 5 stars for this, but this is broken up in like kind of like short stories of Toni, and some of them I didn't care for as much as others. The artwork though is 5 stars as always. Really dark, really crazy. I loved it. I can see myself rereading this or just at least flipping through and reading some of my favorite, because there are some crazy things going on in here. But yes, I can't get enough of Junji Ito. Like, I need more of him, like forever and ever, because I'm hooked, and these were crazy. Like, it was awesome. So now we are on to the 5-star books, and like I said, I have 7 of these as well. 1 reread, and the rest of these were just absolutely amazing. One of these was, well, one of them is also technically a reread, so maybe 2 rereads, but kind of not. Explain in a minute. And one of these was like totally took me by surprise. Like, I was super interested in it before, and it's like an instant favorite for me. Like, it is amazing. So let's get started with this. The first reread, and that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I read this because book 2 has come out. I'm waiting for my copy to get here. Hasn't had the greatest reviews on it, but I don't care. And I know this is a very kind of incel, problematic type of book, but you know what? I enjoy it. I enjoy the 80s. I like all the references and everything. This is like the 5th time I've reread this damn book. So yeah, say what you will. I enjoy it. We follow the story of a boy who, it's basically The Matrix meets like Willy Wonka, as everybody knows. I'm pretty sure you know what this is about. It's been made into a movie, even though I absolutely hated the movie. He's trying to win this like grand prize where he's going to become a millionaire, because in this future everything is like to shit. Like, it's just horrible, and everyone basically just lives online. So yeah, but like I said, everyone knows what this is about, and like I said, this is a reread. It was 5 stars. It's been 5 stars every time. I just enjoy it. I did the audiobook for this time. It was the first time I've done the audiobook, and I absolutely love Will Wheaton's voice, like, in general, and he's the narrator, so I enjoyed it. I think I prefer actually reading it physically though, more than the audiobook. The audiobook was fun and everything. I just kind of always liked reading it physically. So yes, the second kind of reread, that is The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I listened to the Audible audio book play full-on production that they just released. I absolutely loved it. I have read the comics up to, I think, volume 5 is where I stopped. I need to finish. I need to get the rest of them. But I absolutely loved the comics. They were all 4 and 5 stars for me. Knew I wanted to read or listen to this audiobook because it sounded amazing, and I've heard nothing but great things, and it was phenomenal. I was hooked. I mean, I knew it was going to be 5 stars, basically. Like, there was no way it was going to go any lower than that. Like, I couldn't see it going lower. But just in case it did, it was, you know, but like I said, I didn't hear anything negative about it, and it was amazing. I loved it. Oh, all of the cast was phenomenal. It's kind of hard to talk about this because it's kind of all over the place, and I'm pretty sure you should know what Sandman is about. But we follow a character, the Sandman, Morpheus, who he's captured. He is basically the god of dreams, and he is captured because they were trying to capture death so that they would live forever. While mistakenly they get him and they keep him prisoner for like 60 or 80 years. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. And with all this, you know, the world keeps moving on, and he eventually wants to get his revenge, and we follow a bunch of just different plots. We follow different characters from DC, because this does go with the DC universe, like Batman, and we do visit like Arkham Asylum. We deal with John Constantine, so I have read some of Hellblazer and stuff, so I'm familiar enough. But yes, it's kind of all over the place, but I absolutely adored it. The Dollhouse is my favorite volume that I've read so far, and it was still my favorite part of the actual comic and the audiobook. So yes, it was just phenomenal. 5 stars, no doubt. Love it. I cannot wait for, hopefully they keep on going with these. Okay, so for the next one is going to be one that was kind of mentioned already, and this will be the second volume, and that is Heartstopper Volume 2. This was just so sweet, and we actually get like their relationship between the two of them, between Charlie and Nick. We kind of get the relationship actually building up more, and it's just, it was so sweet. You can't really talk too much about these. There's not too much to really say. It's just a coming of age, coming into yourself type of thing, and it's just adorable. It's so cute. I love it so much. I want to reread them again, like I definitely do. So there we go. The next audiobook that I did that was 5-star and it blew me away was Ring Shout by P. Djali Clark. This is a short story. It is under, or it might just be over 150 pages, I believe. I listened to the audiobook. If you're able to do audiobooks, I 100% recommend it. The narrator is phenomenal and everything, but the book was just awesome. If you enjoyed the show Lovecraft Country, I 100% recommend this. It's definitely in that vein. We are following the different, there's these women that they are black women, and they are tasked with killing these creatures that are infiltrating the KKK. This takes place around the same time, like once the KKK was really like first establishing themselves, and with the movie what is it, Birth of a Nation, and seeing them deal with it, and the way the creatures are like explained and described is just so like, oh, like Lovecraftian and just gross, and I wanted more. And these women are badass, like I'm fighting them, and then the story like baits you and like you know where it's going, and then it kicks you in the freaking side of the head and goes, we knew what you thought, and nope, here we go. And it was phenomenal though. Like this was an instant favorite for me. I can see myself wanting to do the audiobook again. I would definitely just read the the physical book. I want to get a copy for my shelf because holy crap, it was just but like the creatures and everything, and just seeing everything that the characters are dealing with, and we do have some queer representation in here, and it was just, oh, read it. Read Ring Shout. It was amazing. You will thank me later. If you don't, then I don't know what to say, because this had everything I would love. It had the horror, it had action. It was just, it was great. I loved it so much. On to the next book. Okay. We should all know my stance on this series, especially with the first book. I've talked about it all year long because I struggled with it, and that was Nevernight. I went with 4 stars in the end. I did really enjoy it. I was very wanted to get into the second book. I was a little hesitant, but at the same time, it was really like at the end, I did really love Nevernight, even though the first 50 pages, as I've said, are some of the worst book I've ever read in the first 50, but once I got past that, flew on, absolutely loved it. And I went with the sequel, which is God's Grave by Jay Kristoff, and let me tell you, I loved it. I loved everything about this book. Holy crap, the action in here, the characters are amazing. I absolutely adore Mia. And then her story of like where she's going and what's happened since the first book, and we get characters brought back, and just, oh my god, especially one of them, the romance in this one I absolutely loved. I really enjoyed the romance in the first book. I wasn't a fan of the like explicit scenes, just the writing was kind of like not to my taste, but it was a lot better in this one. I really loved the romance though in here, and the build up and everything, and it was just that love to hate that I fucking love, and it was done so good. And that ending, I was at work listening to the audiobook. I believe in the dish pit washing dishes, and the book ended and I literally like out loud couldn't stop myself. I went, what the fuck? My coworkers thought I cut off my finger or something because yeah, I couldn't keep it in, and I was like, holy crap. But it was amazing. The action, this follows like a gladiator style like tournaments and stuff, and that was just I need to get the third book. I've done both of them by audiobook, so I do want to do the third one by audiobook. I've already got my hold in, but I think there was like a 24-week wait on it, so I'm just waiting for it now at this point, and I can't wait, and I need it. I need it so bad. But yes, 5 stars. Like, absolutely loved it. Like, I need to know what's gonna happen. I need it. I need it. I need it. The next one, holy crap. I was not prepared for this book. Like, I wasn't. Like, there's no way to prepare yourself for this book. I've heard good, bad about it, but everyone just says the same thing, that it's crazy. Like, there's a lot going on, and holy crap, there's a lot going on, but couldn't get enough. And that is Gideon the Ninth by Tezin Mior. Spoiler, I just finished the second book, and oh my god, I loved it as well. But yes, this one, I love Gideon. Gideon is one of the coolest fucking characters I've ever read. I was cracking up while listening to the audiobook because I was doing it at work. I was originally reading this physically, but I got so into it that I couldn't stop myself. I wanted to keep reading it. So I said screw it, downloaded the audiobook and started doing it at work because I needed to know what was going to happen. And I'm sitting there with a headphone in so no one can hear what I'm listening to, and I'm just cracking up because this book is hilarious. Gideon is such a fucking smartass, and I love her with all my heart. But this is lesbian necromancers in space. And that's how you sum up this book. There's a lot of like crazy shit going on, and it is just amazing. Like, holy crap, everything about this is crazy. We have trials, we've got... The thing about this is the relationship between like the two main characters, Gideon and Harrow. They hate each other so fucking much, and it is amazing to watch. Like, the banter between them, like, they constantly just tell each other how much they fucking hate each other, and you see it and you love it so much. But I can't get enough. Like, basically what this is about is that Gideon was found on this planet. This is a sci-fi, so like I said, like lesbian necromancers in space. The only reason it's kind of like sci-fi is because it does take place on a different planet, but besides that, it's like its own world and stuff, and it doesn't really read as a sci-fi that much. It's more of a like dark fantasy type of thing because of the whole necromancy and everything. But Harrowhawk is tasked with becoming, it's a lictor, I believe. She'll become like this all-powerful being if she completes these tasks, and she has to save her because her parents things have happened on her planet that aren't very fun for her. So she has to, you know, go and do these trials so that she becomes this all-powerful being, basically. And the person she's supposed to take with her decides to hitch a ride off planet and hide because they don't want to go there because they know they'll probably fucking die. So she has to take Gideon with her, and like I said, they really don't fucking like each other. Gideon isn't the greatest or the smartest of the bunch, and just watching them together is fucking amazing. Like, I love them together so much because you don't really get two characters that just banter that well, and you can literally just kind of tell how much they just really don't like each other for whatever reason. And the more you learn about it, though, it's just, you kind of get it. And I can't get enough of this book. I already want to reread it. Like, it was phenomenal. Like I said, I just actually, while filming this, right before filming this, I just finished the second book, and I adored it as well. That one is more, that one is from Harrowhawk's point of view and everything, and just the switch between the two is really cool. I love this series, though. Like, if you are curious about it, I 100% recommend just checking it out, because this is one of those series where you don't know if you're going to like for yourself unless you actually check it out, because I can see a lot of people not why they wouldn't care for this, because it is kind of like all over the place, but at the same time I get why it has such a kind of like cult following now, because it's just amazing and fun and wonderful. So now on to the last of the books of the month, and my top spot was tied between this one and Gideon, but I think this one edged off just a little more because it made me happy in so many damn ways, and it was just amazing. And I almost restarted. I did the audiobook. This was another one like Gideon where I started reading it physically first, but I fell in love with it like instantly, and I needed to know more, so I didn't want to stop reading it at work, so I just said screw it, got the audiobook, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. And that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is another queer book. This is, how do you sum up this damn book? It is just so wonderful and whimsical and just everything I needed in my life. We follow the story of a man who, well, in this world, kids have, you know, there are kids that have power, but there's also like fae type of creatures. We have werewolves, we have fairies, we have gnomes. He is, his name is Linus, and he works for a kind of social services type of place that help, you know, put these kids in homes and stuff that, because they, you know, to be adopted, but no one's really gonna adopt these kids with powers. And he's tasked with, they send him to this house to go and evaluate and everything and make sure everything's up to par. They don't tell him exactly what he's getting himself into. When you find out, it took a turn I did not see coming. Like, I would have never guessed it because I didn't know that much about this going in. And they throw you a curveball, and I didn't know what to expect, but the curveball I loved so damn much. It was just adorable and funny. And when Linus gets onto this island, because the house is kept on this island, and when he gets there, he meets the kid's guardian, Arthur, and he doesn't really know what to think of this guy because he's a little odd, but he's charming in the same way. This felt very much like kind of like an X-Men type of thing, because with the kids with powers, and then having kind of like a, not a school for this one, but like a group home for these kids and everything. But just seeing the relationship Linus builds with the children as well as with Arthur and everyone else on the island, and the more we learn, is just, it was so sweet and heartwarming, and I could see myself reading this book 100 times because it was just so freaking amazing. Like, Linus is now one of my favorite characters. Like, he's just so like sad and dopey, but like you love him, and Arthur is just amazing. All of the kids are wonderful. I'm usually not a huge fan of like books with young kids. It's just, I don't have that connection with kids. Like, I've never wanted kids, so kind of reading about kids sometimes it kind of like, and it's like a very, very hit or miss for me. This was a definite hit. I loved it. I loved every single one of the children, and seeing the interactions between everybody. I just, read this. If you have this on your TBR, bump it up to the top because it is amazing. If you have been thinking about reading it, I definitely recommend it. If you, sounds like something you would love, I definitely do. Like, I can't recommend this book enough. Like, I've been recommending it to people like nonstop since I read it, and I need to do a reread. This is definitely going to get reread next year, and I can't wait. I'm like looking forward to rereading it already. Like, it's just, it's so sweet. It makes me so happy. But there we go. That wraps up my November. I had, like I said, an amazing month. Like, I can't get over how many books I got in, and like, just, I had so many 4 and 5-star books. Like, I was just like, after every book I was like, holy crap, it's another 4-star, holy crap, it's another 5-star. And then sadly though, I did with the DNF, which kind of sucked, but you know what, I'm not gonna keep pushing myself to read books that I'm not enjoying like that. Like, it's just, I have too many books I want to read to be wasting my time on books I'm not enjoying. Maybe I might come back to them eventually, but when it came to that one, just I'm done. I'm done with that. So there we go though. That's what's what. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I would love to know what were some of your favorite books this month that you read. How many books did you read this month? If you've read any of these, I'd love to know your thoughts on any of them, like even the ones that I wasn't a huge fan. If you loved them, I would love to know why. But there we go. That's what's what. As always, I'm Bobby, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, happy reading.